Chapter 13. Several years went by. She is now in her middle teens, and she gets an opportunity to go and live with some foster parents. Apparently, this family knew Kelly and her grandparents from church, and Kelly decided that it would be a good idea. They had money and lived in a nice big house. They could provide things and opportunities for Kelly that she just couldn't have with her grandparents. I think Kelly said she ate her very first steak at a restaurant after moving in with them. They even helped her get her first car when she turned 16. He owned a mechanic shop, and it was one that he had, quote, fixed up. It definitely wasn't anything fancy, but it drove down the road, and she was thankful for it regardless of how it looked. While she was living with her foster parents, she started attending another dance school. This one was bigger and better than the first one, and she absolutely loved it. Her life evolved around dance. It was all she thought about. She didn't go to parties like most teens do. She didn't get drunk. She didn't go out with guys. She just danced. She ended up staying with her foster parents for several years, and they provided for her. It was a better lifestyle compared to what her grandparents could have provided. Better as far as worldly amenities were concerned, anyway. Time passes, and she's now in her early 20s, around 22, I believe. She has since moved out on her own and had just leased an apartment. She was working 2 or 3 jobs at the time, and one of those jobs was at the dance school. She was now a dance instructor at the school. All the kids that she taught loved her and said that she was the best teacher in the whole school. All the kids wanted to take Miss Kelly's classes. She absolutely loved doing it, and it showed. Unfortunately, the owner of the school didn't do right by Kelly. She took advantage of her and never paid her what she was worth. Kelly never complained, though. She just loved being there too much. I think she would have done it for free if she had to. Up to this point, she had not had a real boyfriend, and she had never been with a guy. But now she was being noticed by them. One such guy that notices her is the brother of one of the other dance teachers at the school. He inquires about Kelly and finds out that she's available, and he somehow convinces her to go out with him. This guy was the friend that I hung out with on the weekends, and I didn't think he was an attractive-looking dude. Their first date was at his house. He was having a get-together that weekend, as we usually did, and he invited her to come. Kelly decided to go, and after dance school had ended that night, she followed his sister to his house. Of course, I was there, doing what I normally did, drinking and singing. Everyone always asked us to play and sing. We were the local celebrity band, and of course the free entertainment. I remember the first time I saw Kelly. I was sitting on the couch singing a song as my buddy was playing his guitar beside me. We didn't use mics because he lived in a neighborhood and we didn't want to be too loud, so we were just having an acoustical jam. Anyway, I saw the door open out of the corner of my eye to my left, and I looked over to see who was coming in. I noticed her immediately. I had never seen her before. Wow, who is this? I thought, as I continued to sing. I soon found out that she was there to see my friend. Oh well, I thought, I have a girlfriend right now anyway, even though I still caught myself looking at her throughout the night. Kelly tells it a little different. She said that she noticed me as soon as the door opened and couldn't stop looking at me. She claims that I was the best-looking guy in the room, and when she heard me sing, I became even more attractive. She said that she spent the whole night wishing that she had come there to meet me instead of my friend, and that she was very disappointed when she found out that I had a girlfriend. I'm not sure if all that is true or not, but it sounded good when she told me that after we had started dating. It didn't take long for me to start falling in love with Kelly, and I spoiled her early in our relationship. It was easy because Kelly had not grown up with much. I was always buying her cards, taking her out to eat, and buying her pretty much anything she wanted. I remember our first Christmas together. We had only been dating for about a month, and I went all out buying her stuff for Christmas. I even bought her some jewelry. One of the pieces of jewelry I bought was a ring. Although it was just a promise ring, I wanted people to know that she was mine, and I made sure that she wore it every day. As far as I was concerned, she absolutely loved it. I knew that she had never been given a ring by a guy before, and I liked doing things for her that I knew she had never experienced. It gave me a sense of importance and made me feel good about myself. Soon after we became a serious couple, the band ceased to exist. I no longer spent much time with my band buddy roommate Ross. Kelly now consumed all of my free time away from work. He and I had a falling out, and he decided not to be roommates with me anymore. I know now that the falling out occurred because of Kelly. He and the band were no longer the most important thing in my life, even though it still was for him. He didn't have a serious girlfriend, so me and the band was all he had. Kelly was happy that my band days were over. After we had started dating, she decided that she didn't like me being in the bar scene anymore. There were always girls there, and some of them did not care if the lead singer had a girlfriend or not. Although to this day, I can honestly say that I have never physically cheated on her. Mentally, of course, is a different story. Even after Kelly and I started dating, I still enjoyed the attention I would get from people at the bar, especially girls. It made me feel good, and I had developed a craving for it. I remember one night early in our relationship, after I had been singing all night in the bar, we got in the car to go home, and I was angry because Ross had more girls hitting on him that night than I did. I began complaining about it to Kelly as she drove me home. I had obviously drank too much that night, as I usually did when we played music. That was one of the perks of being in the band. Drinks were always on the house. I'm not sure exactly how much time went by before I decided to ask her to marry me. It was probably somewhere around 6 months. Looking back on my life, it seems like everything played out in 6-month increments, as far as what I can remember anyway. I remember telling her when we first met that it would be a long time before I get married again. I told her about rushing into my first marriage and about how bad it had been, and that I had no intentions on getting married to anyone anytime soon. So after dating for about 6 months, I decided that she was the one I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. I had convinced myself that she was nothing like my first wife. She was skinny. She stayed in shape from dancing all the time, so I didn't have to worry about her getting overweight after we got married. Of course, there were many other things that I liked about her also. I had decided that I was going to go all out with my proposal. It was definitely going to be better than the way I proposed to my first wife. She had been proposed to in the car on the side of the road just as we had finished arguing about her spending too much time with another guy that was supposedly just her friend. Yep, it wouldn't take much to top that one. By this time in my life, I had seen all kinds of movies and TV shows where women always talked about how romantic their proposals were, and I wanted this one to Kelly to be something she would always remember. Somehow Kelly got the impression that I was going to ask her to marry me. I'm not sure how she determined that, but I didn't like it. I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted it to sweep her off of her feet. This was not going as planned, so I decided to do something to throw her off. One night, I sat her down in the living room and proceeded to convince her that I decided that we were just going entirely too fast. We needed to slow things down. I'm not sure what all I told her that night, but to this day, she will tell you that by the time I had finished saying it, she thought that we were about to break up. Obviously, my plan worked. Now that I had convinced her that we were definitely not getting married anytime soon, it was time to proceed with the plan. I told her that I was stressed at work and I needed to get away. I told her I was going to rent a condo and stay at the beach for the weekend, and that she was welcome to come if she wanted to. Thankfully, she agreed to go, and everything was lining up smoothly. I think she even had thoughts that I might be taking her out there to break up with her. That's kind of how my friend had done it. He took her to her favorite restaurant and told her he was dumping her. I can't truly remember much about the weekend, but I'm pretty sure it was the first night we were there. We were looking out off the condo balcony at the ocean, and I asked her if she wanted to go walk on the beach with me. She agreed, and we began walking out beside the ocean in the light of the moon. It was a beautiful night. The waves were crashing on the shore. The stars were brightly shining. The moon was reflecting off the surface of the ocean. All of my senses were being aroused. This, of course, was my experience because I was about to ask Kelly to be my wife, and I was excited about it. She, on the other hand, probably did not have the same pleasant feelings I was having at that moment. She had no idea what was about to happen. She says that she was walking out there thinking that she was about to be dumped. I decided that it was time. I couldn't wait any longer. So I stopped walking for a moment and started looking out into the ocean. There was a light out there. I forget exactly what I had said about the light, but it was something that made her look out there long enough to give me a chance to kneel down behind her without her noticing. When she turned around, I was there on one knee, holding out a large, very expensive diamond ring. She stood there for a moment in disbelief, and when it finally registered what was happening, she burst out into tears. She said that when she first turned around, it looked like I had fallen down or something. She wasn't sure what she wanted to do first, kiss me or punch me. Although it wasn't a trip to Paris or some other over-the-top extravagant experience, for a guy that truly didn't know anything about romance or sweeping a girl off of her feet, I was pretty proud of myself. We got married on March 8th of 2008. I will never forget that date because I was smart. I decided that I wasn't going to be one of those guys that forgets his wedding date, so I made my main email address slade030808@yahoo.com. Slade is my middle name, and of course 030808 is my wedding date. To this day, I have never had a problem remembering when I got married. Now, remembering anything at all about my wedding day is a different story. Thanks to alcohol, most of us probably don't remember much about the most expensive few hours of our life. I didn't think about it when I got married the first time because her dad paid for all of it. But Kelly and I had to pay for everything in ours, and it is truly unbelievable how expensive weddings can be. The world has done an excellent job convincing us that we have to do it too. You spend months planning and buying and planning and buying, and you buy a wedding dress that is seen for a few hours at the wedding, never to be seen again afterward. Some people spend thousands just for the dress. You buy flowers, cakes, decorations, food, alcohol, professional DJs, you rent the building, and did I mention flowers? There's lots of expensive flowers. Knowing what I know now, I would highly encourage someone that is getting married, just have a get-together at the house. Wear your normal clothes. Make a big pot of chili for everyone to eat, and do not fall for the diamond ring commercials. Just buy the cheapest cubic zirconia you can find. It looks exactly the same, and no one ever knows the difference. These days, Kelly and I don't even wear rings. We've decided that we don't need some man-made piece of jewelry to remind us that we are married, or some huge diamond ring to show off to everyone. We actually decided to sell the engagement ring I had bought. The last time we got insurance on it, it had appraised for $7,400. That was 12 years ago, but I'm sure the value of diamonds have not gone down since then. What a waste of money diamonds are. The only reason we buy them is because of what we have seen on TV and the internet. The world does a great job convincing us that we have to buy the things that God created and meant to be free. The world has also taken away many things from us that God created for us to enjoy. The world controls them. It has monetized them and has even made some of them illegal.